So over the past few months, I've done a lot of videos on power stations. And I get a lot of comments from people saying, wow, that's really expensive. I don't think I can afford that. And I get it. Some of them are very pricey. Well, today, I am not only going to show you how to set up an inexpensive home backup power system, but we're going to be upgrading this with that big battery down there and that new charge controller right there. So let's get to work. Alright everybody, welcome back. So the big battery on the bottom there, you saw me review that recently. That is the Redodo 200 amp hour LiFePO4 battery. It's a lithium iron phosphate. Very, very reliable, very long lasting. They last a good 10 years. They say this should get about 4,000 to 8,000 recharges out of it. You can drain them completely, unlike a lead acid battery. But the first thing I want to talk about is how simple this is to do. Now outside of this wall here, I have a carport that we really don't use as a carport. It's more of a shade for my plants out there. And I have 200 watt panels mounted on this system over here. It's completely separate. And 250 watt panels mounted for this one. Now people have asked me, why don't you just put everything in one system and put it all together? The reason I do that is because I use them for different things. This is used more for power tools, short outages, little things like that. A good example, it ran my freezer during a 2-day power outage many years ago. This similar system, I mean, I've changed some stuff around. But I also need to change out the charge control on it, but it is a very affordable charge control that's up there right now. We're going to swing the camera up a little bit here so I can show it to you. There you go. Now you guys may remember, if you've been with me a long time, that's an older charge control. I think it was on Banggood. I think it was $14. It's not the best, but it is a simple PWM charge control. And with the 200 watt panels, it'll bring in enough wattage to get it going and doing what it's supposed to do. But I have to upgrade it because I'm using a LiFePO4 battery, and I need to put different parameters in there for peak charges and cutoffs and all that. And that one isn't programmable. That little guy there isn't programmable. So I'm going to need to use the one that I showed you, and I told you I had two of those. I'm going to need the one I showed you for the rolling battery build with the 100 amp hour battery. I got to change out that battery down there. It is a very good battery. And by the way, if there's any of you locally, all right, now I'm located in Pahrump, Nevada. If any of you folks that watch the channel locally want to start your home solar system, I have a bunch of batteries you are more than welcome to take. Okay? I've been trying to get rid of them. I can't take them to the dump because they won't take them. So if you guys want some decent batteries, including that one when I upgrade, please contact me, let me know. I'd rather help the community out a little bit, and you can get a system going. So essentially, I've got a 1200 watt inverter. Okay, I've got a $14 charge controller there. That was, I think, 90 bucks. And the battery down there at the bottom, I think, is 109, I want to say. I have the receipt, but I don't want to walk in front of the camera to get it. But I'm pretty sure it's in the $100 range. So for a very small price, plus 250 watt panels, which I got for around 100 bucks total. So for a very small price, you can have a very powerful system. And I guarantee you that that 100 amp hour battery down there has a lot more oomph to it than some of the power stations I've shown you in the past. What we're doing today, aside from telling you about that, is we're upgrading this. So I'm going to be upgrading the charge control and the battery. So the first order of business is the charge control. I'm going to be taking it off the wall. We're going to be unwiring it first, disconnecting everything, taking it off the wall, putting the new one up there. Now you guys remember how I mounted this on my box, okay? I used those little strap pieces. So that's how it's going to go up on the wall with these little, it's a strap they use for putting water heaters against the wall, strapping it to the wall. I'm going to tighten this up once I get it in there. And these are the ones I'm going to be using in here, all right? We're going to be mounting that on the wall like that. There we go. It's in camera now. And then we're going to upgrade the battery. But first order of business is getting the old one off the wall and getting this mounted. So let me lower the camera a little bit and let's get that going. Alright, so the charge controller is off the wall. It's actually in my hand right here. Perfectly good, nothing wrong with it. I'll probably use it for something else later on. But for now, we're going to upgrade it a little bit, get a better charge controller. Now I am going to put new wiring from the charge controller to the battery because I was using very, very thin wiring. And I want a little bit better wiring because eventually I'm going to be changing the wiring coming off those 250 watt panels to a little bit heavier as well. So the first order of business is to take off the wiring and the battery out of there, get that battery completely out of there, So there's no possibility. You notice I have all the wires kind of under things separately over there for safety. We're going to disconnect the battery first, and then we're going to move on with upgrading and mounting the charge control and upgrading the wiring from it. So let me get the battery disconnected down there, and I'll bring you in a little closer once that's done, and I'll show you what we got to do. Alright, we got the battery in place. It looks like everything is going to reach just fine. I was a little concerned it wasn't going to reach, but it'll reach just fine. When you're taking some inverters offline, okay, it's important not to touch those because sometimes they'll hold a bit of a charge in the inverter. When you disconnect the inverter, I always turn it on. Sometimes you'll hear it whine and be like, you know, and go off. You sometimes will have a little bit of charge left in the inverter. You always want to let it discharge before messing around with these wires. I did with that one, the one up top here, and there was nothing in it, so I'm not worried about them just sitting kind of hanging free. I haven't put the terminals on. We will put those on. They are right here in the bag. So what I'm going to do is mount the charge control up top, okay, and bring you back when that's mounted on the wall. We're going to run the wires into it and secure them. We're also going to measure out how much wire we're going to need from the charge controller up top down to this battery. So let's get that done right now. Alright, so we're mounted up there. We're all set. It's mounted on the wall. Now what I need to do is get the cables running from it to the battery a little bit thicker. I'm going to give you an example of what we had here. Some very thin gauge wire. We will be replacing it with this. Let me see if I can do a comparison here. Head to head so you can see. Much thicker wire. We're going to be replacing that. That's going to run out of there to the battery. The other wires are coming off the solar panel. I want to wire up the battery first so I can confirm my settings to make sure that I got this all set for this type of battery. Just give me a minute to get some connectors on these and measure it out, run it down into the battery, and we'll show you what it looks like then. Alright, so we're all set. I am connected to the battery right now, just to the battery. I don't have my panels in there yet. These are my panel holes. I just ran a direct line down to the battery. We see that it is working. There's no sun coming in. So what we're going to do is make sure my settings are correct for the battery. Now in here are the recommended voltage. Here we go. So you got over here on the battery manual, the the charge bulk boost voltage is 14.4 to 14.6. Same as the absorption. Over voltage is 15. Over voltage reconnect is 14.2 again. Under voltage 11.6. Under voltage recover is 12, and low voltage disconnect is 10.8. Now I believe I have all that set in there. Let me zoom in the camera and make sure I got it right. Alright, hit program. 24 hours is what we want it to run. Wrong way. There we go. Okay, 13.8. So that's your floating voltage right there. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not going to mess with it. 14.6 D2. Let me check on my thing here. Is your absorption 14.6, 14.6? I think I'm going to take that down to 4. Let's see. Because it says between 14.4 and 14.6. No point risking it. Alright, let's move to the next one. That is D3, which is your disconnect. Disconnect on here should be 10.8. So let's enter and go down 1. And enter. Now something to remember about this, I'm going to have to shut this off and restart it. So I'm going to go down to the bottom where it's connected to the battery, disconnect it and reconnect it in order for these settings to stick. Okay, so there we go. We're all set on that. Next up is, we don't need that, 1, 2, 14, and your float. And there is no recommended float on these, so I'm just going to go with 13.8. I'm not really going to worry about that too much. But the absorption is really important, and that's where we're going to do it. The over voltage was already set at 15, and your low voltage recovery is 12 volts. So that's already done in here. I just wanted to make sure that was done. All right, let me back it up, and we will then connect the outputs on the bottom here. Down at the bottom, let me show you. There you go. We're going to get the solar panel into here and here from outside, and then you will see up top here, right now it's showing a night, a moon, and the stars. Then you will see the panel going into there, into the batteries, and then you'll see a charge. All right, let me go do that right now. And we are 100% wired up. I even had the inverter put in. I went a little ahead. As you can see, I'm getting 15.1 volts off the 50-watt panel. It's not in direct sunlight yet. It's still very early in the morning. The sun's still way over here. It has to come over, and then all the way this way it gets direct sunlight. So I'm getting 30, 29, 30 watts off of 50. That's not bad for where the sun is right now. Later on, I'm sure that'll be up to 45 or 50. So I'm pretty pleased. There's one thing I did realize about this system, and as you can see, the sun is charging the battery. Battery's going up and down. And also you have that there if you want the auxiliary, if you want to run like a little light or something off just solar. There's one thing I realized, this doesn't have a meter on it to tell me what the battery's at. So I'm going to have to buy an external little 12 volt meter that I can stick right there that says, you know, it's at 13.4, 13.1, whatever. That way I'll be able to see what's going on. And of course, down the road, probably within a couple of months, I'm going to be upgrading the two 50 watt panels up there to something bigger, okay? So we're definitely going to be upgrading that panel to something larger. For now, it'll do. It keeps it topped off. It'll keep it charged up. But I do want something a little bit more powerful that can charge it from dead. So there you go. There's your start. Now what I'm going to do is point you down at the battery, and we're going to try the inverter too. We're going to try the inverter first. I'm going to point you down at the battery, and we're going to get a reading off the battery and see where the battery's at. So let's point to the inverter first and see how that's working. So here we go. Let's kick it on. And it is working. It does have a USB port. This had a remote. Unfortunately, I lost it. I know, bad me. I lost the remote for it. I can't find it anywhere. Not that I would be installing it here, maybe somewhere else, I don't know, but it was kind of neat to have. But this is a nice little 1200 watt inverter. I believe it has a 2000 watt peak, you know, surge. So we know that's working. Now let's move down to the battery, and we're going to take a reading on the battery and finish up the video. I'll also let you know where you can pick up that battery. If you're interested, it is on sale right now. Alright, so lastly, we're down at the heart of the thing here, and this is this Redodo 200 amp hour 12.8 LiFePO4 battery, okay? And I did want to do a follow-up with you guys. That's why I'm showing you this. I wanted to let you know they were having a sale on it. We'll get to that in a second. I want to measure the, it was 12.9 when I hooked it up earlier. Let's see what we're getting now, if I can show you that. Put both my hands on this thing. So 13 point, whoops. Let's do it that way. There we go. 13.16. So it's working. It's charging it up. So that's a good thing. Now, like I said, every solar system, pretty much, if you do it this way, is scalable. You can bring this up or down however you want to do it. I can put more panels on, which I will be doing. I'm going to probably put a 250 watt panel on this one and call it good. That way I always have that backup ready to go. Again, I'm going to need to install a little meter, and I'll show you probably where I'm going to put it so I can see what's the voltage of the battery at all times, keep an eye on it. The charge control will cut it out, and the intelligent battery management system inside this battery will cut it out as well, but I'd like to know for my own use. Now the battery, let's talk about this because I did want to bring this back up. I showed you it really quickly, but I did want to bring this back up and show you what it's all about. This is the Redodo 12.8 200 amp hour LiFePO4 battery. Right now I have a link down below. If you follow my link, you will save 60 bucks on it. Okay, till July 7th. So make sure if you're going to get one, this is definitely a buy once, cry once type thing. These are not cheap. $709. That's with the discount. Normally it would be $769.99, so normally it would be $770. You're going to get it for $709.99. There's a reason they're expensive. They last for 10 years, they need zero maintenance, and they can be discharged fully, as well as have anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 recharges. So lithium iron phosphate is definitely the way to go if you're starting out a small system that you want to expand and make even more professional. I really am liking this thing. Really liking the confidence of being able to put this in here and not have to worry about, oh, is the water too much? Oh, is it getting dehydrated? It's too hot. My other batteries over here are lead acid batteries, and those are going to get replaced soon too. But let me tell you, I had to constantly keep an eye on them and make sure they're okay, and is it ready, and did I get enough water in them? This does come with a manual. I know it's kind of odd for a battery to come with a thick, decent-sized manual, but you do need to learn about them because they are kind of new. Let me pick up the camera. I'll give you some final information on what I want to do with this, and this kind of ties into tomorrow's video. I do have something, like I said, I got something pretty exciting coming to the channel, and this will tie into it in a way I can't tell you yet till tomorrow, but this area, this whole area here with the battery and the thing will tie into it. So let me back up a little bit, and we'll finish up the video. Alright, so that's the whole system. It's all set up. I know it's probably cut up on the camera there, but you can see charge controller, inverter, and that big old battery down there. Now, like I said, this is going to be a charging station for my next project, which you will see tomorrow. And you will see a lot more of that project in the channel overall. We're not going in a different direction or anything. It's still going to be prepper and survival related. But this is going to be charging for that, and I think you're going to really like it. Anyway, that is the system. That is the Redodo 2000 amp hour, 200 amp hour battery, not 2000. And it's definitely a neat little system. I'm definitely liking the way it's working with everything hooked up already. Like I said, your homemade solar stuff is always scalable. You can always get a better charge control, a bigger inverter, a bigger solar panel, bigger batteries or more batteries. These can be strung together if I had more. So just remember that. Don't get discouraged by starting with something small. Maybe that little tiny panel up there isn't going to do the job. Maybe I have to get that 250 watt panel. That's fine. I'll do that. I'm going to do that anyway. But get started, get something so that when the lights go out, you got power. Because the way it's looking this summer and from what we've been hearing, there's a possibility of a lot of issues with our power grid. So remember, LiFePO4 batteries, lots more charges, lots more stability, safety, way safer. They don't have to be maintained. You don't need to fill them with water or anything like that. Really handy little deal. The link will be down below for that, for the battery, if you're interested. So don't forget, the link will be down there for the battery if you're interested in it. Check it out. Like I said, it's not cheap. All right, I like to do budget-friendly things here. However, for a 200 milliamp hour LiFePO4 lithium iron phosphate battery, that is very affordable. $700, not bad. And they're super light too, so you won't get killed on shipping either. They are fairly light. I think it's like 26 pounds. Normally a big battery like that you'd see in a truck or something would be like 104 pounds or something. 120 pounds, be pretty heavy. So I like the system. I'm really happy with it. Don't forget to check our link down below. Don't forget to check all our links down below. We have our Jace Medical link for antibiotics. For us preppers who want to get antibiotics legally and prescribed to us, we can do that right there. We have our freeze-dried wholesaler link. That link will save you 15%. Stock up on freeze-dried food now. You can get it. You can get a deal on it. The link, just click the link, save 15%. He has everything from cheesecake to filet mignon. You name it, he's got it freeze-dried. We also have our Thrive Life link down there and our My Patriot Supply link. That's preparewithiridium.com. Preparewithiridium.com. We're still running that 3-month, $150 special. So 3 months worth of food for $150 off. It was affordable to begin with. Now it's even more affordable. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay powered up, and stay prepared.